Hi, everyone. My name is Fahim. First off, I want to thank you guys for all coming out. It's events like these that really help to diversify our community and really show everyone the talents we have and everyone that's in our community. Of course, my name is Fahim. I'm a 12 plus student at Guelph CVI right now, and I have plans to go to university for user experience design. And then my end goal is to continue doing what I love doing right now for the rest of my life and as my career. So today I'm going to explain to you about what I do, on a basic day, the kinds of things I do and interact with, or who the people I interact with, and how it all comes together in the end of the day, and how my passion became my end goal and my final career. So in the field, I'm known as an animator, a developer, a designer, and most importantly, an artist. So these four things combine together to create sort of what's known as my career. And the reason I say sort of career is because a career has this idea that it's someone's path, it's someone's specific course that they've sort of fine-tuned in order to make themselves successful and in order to make their profession. But for me, my career was nothing like that. The way it happened for me was it was just sort of what I enjoyed doing. And that turned out to be what I want to do for the rest of my life and how I want to support myself for the rest of my life. So it all started when I was really young, and my parents would bring toys for me every now and then. And the instant I got them, I would pretty much dismantle them right away. There was honestly no toy that I had that I hadn't taken apart completely and had to throw out because there's too many sharp objects, or there's something wrong with it, or I broke a lot of stuff in it. And throughout the years, I continued doing that. I just really loved taking apart things. And that kind of showed me that I was really into the hands-on stuff. I was really into technology. But at the same time, I loved drawing things. I was a big advocate for drawings and for people who are really good at that kind of stuff. And so I would always draw, random structures, flowers sometimes, buildings, stuff like that. And so from there, I had this idea that I was pretty much an artist. I thought I was pretty good. But looking back at the stuff now, it was pretty terrible. But so through the years, I kind of decided that I could find a way to merge the two together, the whole art side as well as the technology side. And that's where graphic design and development kind of came to me. And so it started, my first job started with this company out of the UK actually. And this was back when I was playing Minecraft, so this was like grade 6, 7, something like that. So I saw this server and I'm like, hey, I can design some stuff. I can maybe help you guys get more popular and make like a YouTube video for you guys to show off. And so I got to work. It took like 2 weeks, and I made this really, really crappy, just 30-second video that they put on YouTube, and it got like 100 views or whatever. And I made $5 from that. And I was like, hey, this is pretty good. I can make some money off of this. And I showed my parents, and they were like, oh, that's cool. And I used that $5 to buy some cheap knockoff thing on eBay. And then I kind of just realized that this is cool. I can actually make money from this. I can actually kind of continue it. And so I continued working on that kind of stuff. And fast forward, let's say, 6 years or so, and I'm in grade 11 or something like that. And I'm working for this company that's also in the gaming industry. And they work with servers and stuff like that. And so I was hired as a secondary designer, so not a main one, but I was kind of on the side just doing my own stuff here and there just to help out. And so there's this cool experience I had with them, and I learned some cool stuff from this. But I came home from school one day just minding my own business, and I go to check out the group chat that we have running. And I go and look in there, and I see that they're booking some houses on Airbnb in Berlin. And I'm like, what's going on here? It's kind of fishy. So I asked them what's happening, and they were like, oh, no one told you? We're going to Berlin tomorrow. And I'm like, are you serious? No one told me this before. And so I bought my ticket. the night of for my flight the next day. And it's kind of expensive because you shouldn't buy your ticket the day before your flight. Has any of you flown before without your parents? Okay, so here's some advice. You should always tell them beforehand that you're going to Berlin the next day or something like that. So my parents got home, and I'm like, oh yeah, so I'm going to Berlin tomorrow. I need you to fly me to the airport. And they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, but I have my ticket right here. It's for my job. And they're like, okay. So they were really skeptical at first. They were like, are you sure this is kind of worth your time? And I'm like, well, it's for a weekend, and they're paying for it, so of course it is. So I got on the flight, and I got there, and I was able to meet with the people I was working with because we were all from all over the world. And I think the reason they chose Berlin was because most of the people were already there. And it was just a group of 8 or 9 of us, and that made the entire development team. So I got there, and I was able to work with the team, and I realized then that I really liked working in a team, and I really liked putting my work in collaboration with everyone else's work. And so that was a really good experience for me, and I also realized then that I could continue going in this field and actually, have fun with it because I was able to travel. And they loved my work, and I loved doing work for them. But it wasn't always like that. Along the way to get there from when I first started out doing this stuff, obviously I was making like very little money, but I enjoyed doing it. But the thing that mattered most was that I made the best stuff I could do, and I communicated the best way I could. Because in the end, what matters most is that even if you don't get the money for it, you still have the work you made, and you still have the awesome stuff that you can do, and the stuff that you can contribute to, whether it's your community, whether it's a job, whether it's your career in general. So from that experience, I was able to continue working with the stuff I was doing, and I always kept good communication with them. Because sometimes you can't finish things on time because you've got other important stuff, or you've got school or something like that. But deadlines have to be met. So there were a ton of times where I was like, yeah, I can't really make that. But the most important thing was I always communicated, and I always made sure that they understood why I couldn't make the deadline or why something had to be the way it was, because everyone has their situations. Which brings me actually to the next point, which is the networking side of stuff. You should always keep a good impression with the people you work with your friends, with adults, with anyone, because you want to have that lasting impression about you when maybe in the future down the road someone needs a specific designer for something, or someone needs a musician, a photographer, a videographer, or even a doctor or something. Nowadays in the fields, everything is about networking. It's about who you know, it's about how you know them, and what they think of you. So by leaving a really good impression with whoever you work with, you open the doors to so many opportunities in the future. And so that company that I worked with in Berlin actually fired me a few months later. But it was more of a mutual firing. It was because I couldn't really keep up with the amount of work because of school. This was my final year of high school and stuff like that. So it was a mutual firing. So I didn't have a job, I guess, but I was still doing freelance work on the side. So it wasn't really an issue for me. But what I remembered most from that was that the owner said, "I hope our paths meet again." And so for me, that was really important, because I thought I left a great impression. They know I do awesome work, and they'll remember me. And lo and behold, about a year later, I'm now working at a company that the owner from the old company was best friends with the owner from this company, and he was looking for a designer. So he asked the old company's owner who would fit well, and he said, "Oh, I know a guy that worked for us before." And so I got this job, and it's pretty cool because he asked me what I wanted for a salary. So I kind of just took my last salary and doubled it, and they were like, "That works great." So it turned out awesome for me, and I'm doing that now. And we work with concerts and stuff, and it's pretty awesome. I'm designing some pretty cool stuff that you'll maybe see in the future. I can't really say what it is yet because it's highly confidential. But it opened the doors for all the things I could do. And so along the way, I always remembered to do the best work I could, always put my best effort forward, and keep a great network of people and keep an awesome communication line with everyone. And so with that said, there were obviously times where things didn't go that well, and sometimes I didn't get paid for the work I did. But since I had that work, I knew that I could get paid in the future. I knew that that was more important than the money was. And the work that I'd be doing would support me regardless of who I'm working with. And that kind of brings me to the education part of all of this. A lot of times there's this miscommunication or this misimpression that you have to have this specific degree or this specific diploma or this specific career line to be successful in your field. And to me that was kind of ridiculous, because I found out that I could do some awesome work and people would pay me from that $5 I made years ago. And I kind of looked at that further and I was like, I can just keep doing this. And I'm not saying a university degree or a college diploma or anything like that isn't beneficial. There's obviously a lot of benefits to it. For one, the networking you get from taking any of those courses is extremely important, because you can meet with people who are doing the same stuff you are. And in the future, when they need more people to work with them, you can be their first thought. But the point is to not think that you have to have this specific degree to explore the field you want to, or you have to choose after you do all of this education. You can start gaining experience from the minute you start being interested in something. And it was a little hard for me at first, because my parents always thought of me as a really intelligent science guy or mathematician or something like that. But I was never really that interested in that field. I had good marks, but I was more into sort of the arts and sort of how I could mix the two together, as opposed to stay specifically to the technology side or the sciences. And so it was a little hard to convince my parents that I could do other stuff. But I guess they saw over the course of all the work I'd been doing, that I had a really great talent that I could continue using for my career. And so what I do plan to do is go to university for user experience design. And the reason for that is to continue and to expand on my talent and to expand on what I'm interested in. So it's not because I need that requirement in order to be successful, but instead it's because that's what I want to do to increase my potential and to increase my hireability and to increase what I'm able to produce as an artist. And so, I mean, some things do require that you have an education. Obviously, if you're going to be a doctor or if you're becoming a teacher and you want to teach a specific thing, you obviously have to learn that. But what I urge you to do is to learn how to educate yourself and learn what you need to learn to become successful, as opposed to just deciding that that's going to be your field and that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And so with that said, that brings me to my final point, which is to explore your passion and to explore what you love to do more than anything, and figure out how you can turn that into what you want to do for the rest of your life. So figure out what you want to do, figure out what you love to do, figure out a network of people that want to do the same stuff and people that you can relate to and benefit from, and then figure out how you want to educate yourself in order to become successful in that field. And with that, that brings me to the conclusion of my presentation.